And it was not even that long ago when Republicans and Democrats could, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, really get along. I remember the days of Reagan in the 80s when he and Tip O'Neill would go at it. They'd argue. I realized that, we're talking about somebody in the legislative, the senator and Congress, rather, and the president of the United States. But then they'd have dinner. They'd have dinner at night with their wives and each other. They put their differences aside. And you had moderates on each side that would get along and really pass bills and know how to work collaboratively. And you kind of, I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of miss those days. It just seems that there's so many extremes nowadays and it seeps out of the political arena and into personal lives. And we've talked about it in the past. Sometimes you lose friends, lifelong friends at that, family members, because their ideology just truly gets the best of them. And there's no longer is there objectivity in looking at things through or issues from someone else's perspective. Polarization in politics is what we talk about all the time. Good morning. It's Gary Byron. It is 8:11, 11 minutes after 8 o'clock. Our next guest into the Daily Connerton Memorial Company interview chair is a senator who, when I met him, we were both in the House together. He in the Senate represents Watertown, Oxford, Seymour, Middlebury, Southbury, Roxbury, Bridgewater, Washington. Woo! I don't know if I forgot any towns. I'll have to ask him. Let's welcome back to the show State Senator Eric Berthel. Eric, good morning.
Hey, Gary, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm not doing bad. How are you this morning?
Well, it's a nice spring day here in Connecticut. It's supposed to get up into the 70s, I guess, as we move through the rest of the week. So we're able to enjoy some of what makes Connecticut so wonderful to live in. And winter is behind us. I think there was frost on Sunday morning. My neighbor was telling me.
Is that right?
But we're there. We're getting into the if you like warm weather, we're getting into the good season. But it's also you and I are experts at segues, right? And from our time together way back when, and we're also in the height of the political season at the Capitol, and that is not nearly as enjoyable as springtime and sitting outside and enjoying the beautiful Connecticut weather. But I think we're 4 weeks out from the end of the session, and you recall from your days there that it's starting to get crazy. There's lots of bills, lots of crazy ideas that are still very much in play that have really terrible ramifications for the state. And there's some good stuff that will get done as well, as you just spoke to. But
I want to talk about that in just 1 second. Let me just ask you a quick question, though, first.
Of course.
When are you hearing that? And I'm only asking this because a caller just called a little while ago, within the last 30 minutes. She wants to know when the state capitol is going to be open to conduct the people's business and the people can actually attend. And I ask this, Senator, only because businesses are reopening, or have been reopened. I shouldn't say reopening. They have been. In fact, if anything, they're reopening at 100% capacity in about 8 days from now. Restaurants will be at 100% capacity on May 19th. We're looking at indoor arenas and concert venues and indoor sporting venues. If we can enjoy dinner and dining and entertainment and retail indoors at full capacity, certainly conducting the people's business should be open for the people themselves, right?
Well, Gary, I agree with you 100%. And I can tell you that the People's House will be open to the public at 0% through the remainder of the regular session, according to some news articles and interviews that were done late last week with the majority leader and the president of the Senate. They do not feel that it's time to open the Capitol, and they're concerned about people congregating too closely and whatever. And to your point, everything else will be open. I've argued that we should have had properly socially distanced meetings in person since maybe not since last summer when we weren't there, but certainly since we came back in January. We saw that we could do things in very restricted capacity indoors with proper masks and social distancing and keep people safe. we're at a point now, you're exactly right. In 8 days, we'll be wide open, so to speak, with an indoor mask mandate still in place. But everything will be just about back to full capacity, yet the doors to the Capitol are locked. The doors to the LOB are locked to the public. And that is, as you know, and every legislator that's currently serving and has previously served knows that that is the people's house, and we are not letting the people in, and that needs to stop.
So that is done by design. Really, the optic of that looks like there's some shenanigans that will be taking place, and that it's all done by design. They don't want the people there because this way they can pass some of the most hideous and egregious laws, that, and implement terrible policy. Listen, why hide unless you got something to hide from?
Well, it does raise that question, but I can tell you that a couple of weeks ago, when the bill for removing the religious exemption for vaccines was being heard in its final stop up in the Senate chamber before the governor signed it, we had 5,000 people on the North Lawn. You remember that beautiful North Lawn looking over at Bushnell Park? We had 5,000 people out there, so you can tell them they can't come inside, but I assure you, for 12 hours nonstop, they made a lot of noise. They were heard. They were visible. They were peaceful. Capitol Police told me that there were not only were there no arrests, they were just having a good time advocating for what they believed in. So you can keep them out of the building, but you can't keep them off the grounds. And and it's unfortunate. It does give the impression that there's something to hide. If the decision were mine, I'd say open the doors right now. Go unlock the doors and welcome people back into the legislative office building in the Capitol, and let's let them be part of the process. That's what that form of government is all about. The people need to be seen and heard, and whether you agree or disagree with them, they have a right to that. And those buildings do not belong to the governor, to the majority leader, or the president of the Senate. They belong to everybody.
I couldn't agree more. That's going to take me into really the next question, and I kind of teased about this in my intro to you. Just how far left is it in Hartford over in the state capitol?
Well, Gary, we have there's 36 members of the Senate. 24 of them are aligned with the Democratic Party. So we have a supermajority in the Senate, and downstairs in the House, I think we're short by 2 for a supermajority. So it is absolutely very, very, very left. We essentially will see any bill that the Democratic Party wants to bring out. They really control the process. It's up to us as Republicans in the minority to just advocate against whatever may be coming out, or maybe not necessarily against it, but bringing out the things we don't like about the bill and what's wrong with the bill, and that's our responsibility as legislators to begin with. But we're seeing everything that they want to bring.
I know that the Democrats have the majority. Heck, they've had the majority in the House for 40 years, and in the Senate, with the exception of the 2016 through 18 tie. I mean, they've had the majority. It's been one party rule for decades. I think what I mean by left is how far to the left. I know that it's the left, meaning the Democrats have the majority, and they've had the majority. Sure. But how far left? How progressive meaning? How far has it gone?
The best example was that religious exemption bill for vaccines. Okay, here's a bill that I still firmly believe, despite what some others said the night of the debate, I think this bill is unconstitutional. The right to a public school education is guaranteed by the Constitution, yet this legislature feels that it's their job and it was their responsibility to remove that religious exemption. 1.54% of the students, of the 500,000 kids that are in school in Connecticut, in public schools, 1.54% of them were seeking a religious exemption. But we had to go and pass a law to take away their religious freedom. I think that answers your question. That's how far progressive we've become, where religion doesn't matter. This is the government says you have to do it, and you have to do it. I think that's the best example I can give you.
Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen it as far left as it is right now?
No, I have not. And there's a lot of other ideas, things that I hope never see the light of day, that we would need. I think we'd need hours to talk about. But there's a lot of other bills that are out there that have some really dangerous things embedded in them.
Are you kidding me? Why am I not surprised? Give us a taste of one or two of those.
So look, we continue to see an assault on, for example, law enforcement. Right? Yeah. We went back when we passed that really I would say it was an important piece of legislation that we looked at last summer, but it was an emotional reaction to what was going on in the United States at that point, where we took away powers from the police, right? We took away powers from the police. Well, this is something that when you start to take away the ability for communities and for towns and cities to go and properly police themselves, police officers are there to maintain the peace, right? And to go and make sure that you don't have you don't have people getting assaulted and robberies and all the bad things that happen. When you start to take away the ability for the police to do that, well, what happens? What happens? You end up in a situation where you end up with more crime, right, which we're seeing now. And look at Waterbury, look at New Haven, look at what's in Hartford. My God, look what's happening every weekend, every day in Hartford with shootings, right? You get to a situation where you've taken away authority from the people who are trained and are supposed to be maintaining the peace in the name of, I don't know, is it in the name of equity or social justice? I'm really not sure.
Right.
Hey, but at the end of the day, we've created a situation because we had to react to something that we should have taken more time to react to and say, okay, is there an issue with police violence in Connecticut? Let's see the numbers. Let's see the facts. What's really going on here? And instead, we went and pushed this very progressive agenda to remove authority of police so that more crimes can be committed. And it's exactly what we're seeing right now in Connecticut. Right at this moment, we're seeing this happen. So, that's one really big example of something that happened almost a year ago that has fundamentally changed Connecticut. And it's going to, if we don't get back in and fix this, okay, and fix what we actually intended to do and what we wanted to do, we're going to continue to see crime rise. We're going to continue to see crime spill over into the suburbs and even into the rural parts of the state. And that's something we need to fix and we need to stop. We need to go back and look at what we've done and say, what did we really intend to do here and what did we actually do, and fix that.
Yeah.
And this is, it's very scary. It's very scary. And then we have a gas tax bill that's masquerading as an environmental bill.
Yeah.
That everyone is beating me up that is in favor of this, saying, oh, we need to protect the environment. Of course we need to protect the environment. No one wants to not do that. But we're about to see a bill perhaps that's going to add as much as 17 cents a gallon to the cost of gasoline. Gasoline here in Watertown went up over $3 for the first time in 2 years yesterday. Hey, at the pump for regular gasoline. And now we want to add another 17 cents. Is no one in Hartford looking at what the effect is on our economy and what's going on in Connecticut? We haven't recovered from the 2008 recession. We were in a really bad spot a year ago.
I said that earlier this morning.
Began.
Yeah, you're right. No,
before COVID began, we were not in this land of milk and honey where everything was great in Connecticut in terms of our budget. And now here we are. We have a proposal to add more taxes to gasoline. So let's make it even harder to live in Connecticut, and let's raise the cost of living even more, because it's not just 17 cents at the pump, Gary.
No,
it's going to be $500 at the supermarket.
That's
it's
right.
going to be an increase on the cost of your home heating oil to get it delivered. Everything you buy, the Amazon truck, the UPS truck, the FedEx truck, all of the costs is going to go up with something like this, because it's a cost that everyone's going to have to share. Everything arrives in a truck in Connecticut.
That's right. We are speaking with State Senator Eric Berthel. Eric, you yourself, you're a father. Your teenage son has traveled to the Capitol with you. I know.
Sure. Both of them. Yeah, I have two boys. That's
do you
right.
think teenagers see what we see?
Well, that's a really great question. I think that teenagers who are being raised in a household where they're able to see both sides of a story are seeing this, and they're concerned about it. And I think in a household where parents may not be providing access to both sides of the story, because I can tell you, we're a Republican household clearly, but we don't only access Republican news and only talk about Republican viewpoints.
As you should.
Everything.
That's good.
Okay?
I like to hear that.
That's right. And I think that, I think that this current teenage generation, as much as there's a concern about what's going on in our schools and colleges and whatever, I think that this generation that's in high school now it's going to be incumbent upon them to really, slam on the brakes with all of this progressive movement that we see and say, hey, wait a minute. This is not what our country was founded on. This is not what why America is so great and why we are why we've been so successful and have done so many great things as a nation since the beginning of the creation of our great country, and it's going to be incumbent upon them to affect change. But there's a lot of noise in both directions. But my children see it because we expose them to both sides, and we have good debates.
That's
about
good.
That. I'm good debates about that.
I'm glad to hear that. This weekend, you joined Representative John Piscopo and Senator Henry Martin at a Stop the Gas Tax Connecticut.com rally in Thomas.
Stop the Gas Tax CT.com.
In Thomaston, right?
In Thomaston, right over the hill from Watertown. Thomaston is our good neighbor to the east and north, and we had probably 50 or 60 people out at a local gas station right by the lumberyard and the bowling alley, right on the main drag there in Thomaston. People are really angry, Gary. They don't want to pay more to live in Connecticut. And I don't care if it's a nickel that it starts at. When it gets up to 17 or 20 or 30 cents, all it does is make it more toxic to be here and more expensive to be here when we're already challenged as a state. We see, forget about the millionaires leaving, but we're starting to see some of the they're still high wage earners, but they're not the millionaires and billionaires. We see the next strata starting.
The middle class.
The middle class, yeah. And there is that website, stopthegastaxct.com. I encourage anyone who's concerned. And I'll tell you what, even if you like what's going on there, go and read what the concerns are at that site. And sign up. There's more rallies coming.
Yeah, you can sign the petition right now, by the way, right? You can
sign a petition.
And there's a rally today. I'm sorry, not today. There's a rally on this Saturday, March. What the hell's wrong with me here, Gary? There's a rally this Saturday, May 15th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Sunoco station, 510 Farmington Avenue in Bristol. Senator, let me see, was it Looney? Says that now is the time for billions of dollars in new tax hikes. Yikes! At a time when we're getting unprecedented federal dollars, and we were seeing an all-time high in our rainy day fund, and with people who are still not quite back to work yet, or if they're not getting paid, they're underpaid. Sometimes taking part-time positions or taking a decrease in pay. Why does he think that now is the time for billions of dollars in new tax hikes? And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, look, I wish I knew. But you really pinned it right. We're seeing unprecedented numbers of dollars coming to us from Washington, D.C. to help with various COVID-related shortfalls and inevitably to help restart the economy, help our small businesses, help. We should be if we were thinking the right way. Bolstering up the unemployment trust fund because that took an incredible hit as a result of COVID. But here we are, $3.2 billion would it be billion dollars, $3.2 billion proposed in new taxes on top of all of this. I don't have an answer. I honestly don't. Yeah. I think it's gluttonous. I think it's irresponsible. We should be looking at ways of reducing spending and taking advantage of if there are some windfalls, take advantage of that by applying it to where it can be the most helpful. Instead, it's almost like someone handed us a bag of money and said, here, go spend it. But in the meantime, let's keep increasing spending where we shouldn't be and keep adding to our state budget and keep doing things that will just add additional debt and burden and responsibility to future generations. It's so irresponsible.
It is. State Senator, you're right. Eric Berthel, we appreciate your time with us this morning. You always give us more than we ask for, and I can't thank you enough.
Gary.
We'll talk soon. We're coming right back to Open Phone. Start dialing, get in the